Okay, good. Seeing that the members are present. Seeing that it's 7:12 on December 14th, 2020, I'm going to open the meeting for the Halifax Zoning Board of Appeal, via Zoom. I'll link below. Present members are myself, Chairman Robert Gaynor, Keziah Nazrella, Peter Parcellin, Bob Durgin, Gerald Joy, and our associate member, Daniel Bosari. Okay, why don't we, seeing that we're a couple of minutes late here, let's start right off on our first hearing of petition number 929, the Twin Lakes Liquors at 653 Montponton Street. Special permit for interior renovation. The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, December 14th, 2020 at 7:05 p.m. via Zoom on the application by Bella Realty for a special permit for interior renovations to an existing structure, Twin Lakes Liquors, located at 657 and 659 in A, Montponton Street, Halifax, Mass. Said property is owned by Bella Realty as shown on Assessors Map 19, Lot 866, title reference, book 646, page 67. The applicant is seeking a special permit to renovate the interior existing building, which would constitute a continuation of a non-conforming use and an alteration of a non-conforming structure exceeding 50% of the real market value of the structure. This is in accordance with the zoning bylaws of the town of Halifax under sections 167(8)A and 167(8)B. Area is zoned commercial, petition number 929. Okay, Mr. How do you pronounce the last name, sir?
Mr. Chairman?
Gogarty.
Mr.
All right.
Chairman?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Dan, I forgot. What is your issue now?
Yeah, I'm going to recuse myself for the discussion on petition 929.
Okay. Sorry, Dan, I forgot all about you.
Happens all the time. Did you get that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
Thanks, Dan. Okay, sorry. Yes, sir. Why don't you explain to the board what you want to do here, what is involved with your special permit?
Okay. We are well, first of all, for the record, my name is Lawrence Gogarty, and I represent the owners of the property. I'm handling the design, permitting, and construction management aspects of the project. We are a pre-existing non-conforming structure in that we do not meet the required front yard setback of 50 feet. Our existing setback is 18 feet or thereabouts. We are not increasing the footprint of the existing building. We are doing interior renovations, and exterior work will simply include new siding to improve the appearance of the property. In looking at the prerequisites for the granting of a variance, number one explains that if there is a financial hardship involved, I would submit that the owners have spent a considerable amount of money, number one, acquiring the property. And when we started the construction inside, we exposed significant issues, particularly with respect to the structure, which is the roof joists. Some were severely deteriorated, such that we had to engage a structural engineer to come in. We have sistered up almost all of the roof joists on the right side of the space. And we are going to be spending more money. We also demolished the portion of the building that was about to fall down. We have installed a new roof, and we anticipate approximately $185,000 worth of work, both remedial and interior in terms of the cosmetics. So if the applicant were not allowed to continue the operation of the liquor store, I would submit that that would constitute a financial hardship. Number two, in the prerequisites talks about that the project would not be substantially detrimental to the public good. I would submit that that the renovation work that we are contemplating would not involve substantial detriment to the public good. And number three, I do not believe that if a special permit were to be granted, that it would derogate from the initial intent or purpose of the zoning bylaw. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I'd like to, at this point, open it up to the, any questions from members of the board. Does anybody have any, Mr. Gogarty? All right, I got a couple. First of all, you said you weren't increasing it. Did you decrease the non-conformity, the size, the footprint of the building?
That's an interesting question. I guess in the sense that we tore down that wood frame portion of the existing building that, as I've said before, was about to fall down.
Now, Mr. Gogarty, if you were looking at the building from 1 Ponset Street, would that be to the left-hand side of the building?
Yes.
Or the right-hand side where the liquor store was?
It would be to the left-hand side.
Okay. How much did you reduce it by?
I'd say a third.
A third of the building.
I'm ballpark. Yes, I would say a third.
Okay.
If not more.
All right. The other question, I don't know if you had heard me. I asked the secretary there from the zoning board, Alana, if in fact we received have we received all the blueprints, the structure, everything else to comply with the completion of the application. I understand they were missing a couple of things. I just wanted to make sure they were all in there.
Well, initially what we were missing, and I was scheduled to be on the November meeting, but we had mistakenly put the address as 653, which is the mailing address of the liquor store, whereas the legal address was 657 and 659A. Other than that, I did submit an architectural floor plan, a certified site plan.
Okay. And Alana, we have all them on file?
I do have the floor plan. I'm looking for the site plan. Hold on 1 second.
Alana, I think you emailed those over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't believe that was submitted to zoning. I believe that was submitted to planning. So I sent that over today because Bob Durgin asked for it.
Okay, so we have it. It's all complete and whatnot at this point. Is that a yes? Alana, I lost you.
I think she has been muted again.
Here I am, sorry. So say, I'm sorry, what was that question, Bert?
So since we did get it back from the planning board, the floor plan, the plot plan, everything is complete. The application is complete at this point?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, all right. Again, any other questions, gentlemen, from members of the board in regards to this application?
Bert, the building itself is still going to remain a liquor store. Is that the intent?
Yes, as of now, the right side portion of the existing building is going to be a liquor store. The left side will be overflow storage for the liquor store.
Okay, I do know, just to reaffirm what Mr. Gogarty had said before, that building has been there as a restaurant and then as a liquor store. I mean, since I've been in town for the last 40 years, the property has been there. I think, I do see the hardship as far as, renovating and assuring up the structure, to invest that kind of money into I do remember that they closed that building because of roof leaks or ceiling leaks or whatever. So it is a rather costly thing. Where it's been there for a while, like I said, for as long as I have, I don't see a problem with it being detrimental to the established character of the neighborhood. It's been in the neighborhoods forever. And myself personally, I do not think it's going to derogate from the intent of the bylaw, only because it's certainly, in the condition that it is now, it would be detrimental and could, to the character of the neighborhood, and investing that kind of money to improve not only the inside, the structure, as well as the outside appearance. I think it could only benefit from the neighborhood, or continue to benefit as it has over the last so many years. Anybody else feel different or want to comment as far as meeting the conditions?
I agree. It looks like none of the setbacks are increasing at all. In fact, it looks like it's taking up a smaller footprint, right? If I'm looking at the site plan correctly.
Yes, it is.
So I agree with you, Bert. I think it's an improvement, and I don't think it's a derogation of or detriment to the neighborhood. And I think if anything, it's decreasing the nonconformity. So, Mr.
Gogarty, is that storage being rented out to another company, or it's strictly for the liquor store, like you said? If I got that.
There's a portion on the left side. I guess you guys don't have the benefit of the floor plans there. No?
we do, yeah.
Oh, you do. So
It looks like it's almost as much as square footage as the actual liquor store, right?
it's slightly less actually.
Yes.
The floor area of the liquor store itself is 2,700 square feet.
Mhm.
The floor area of the storage area, as I'm calling it, well, let me back up. That storage area used to be the dining room of the restaurant. Okay. So the part that we tore down, that was wood frame, for the most part was the kitchen area of the old restaurant. So to answer your question, the storage area is about 2,000 square feet, and the liquor store is about 2,700 square feet.
But its use is going to remain with the liquor store. It's not going to be rented out the storage area.
No, it could well be rented out in the future. Because there's a kind of a natural dividing wall, demising wall between the liquor store and that's what we're calling the storage area. When I would discuss the application with Mr. Piccirilli, who's been extremely helpful all along here, we had to call that area something. And right now we're calling storage.
All right,
for the liquor store.
All right. Well, it's normally, Mr. Gogarty, the practice of the zoning board that on special permits and variants that we go out and visit the site. However, I don't think anybody in town doesn't know about the particular property that we're talking about. But I will ask if for a motion, if anybody or members of the board do feel that a site inspection can be waived or is not necessary.
I'll make a motion to waive the site inspection.
That was Jerry.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And that's Keziah. Okay, I have a motion and a second to waive the on-site voting on this. So the regular members, I'll call for a voice vote. Keziah?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes,
and myself, yes. So it passes 5 unanimous, 5-0. Basically, Mr. Gogarty, that saved you about a month right there is basically what it boils down to.
I understand that, yes. So you're not in a position to make a decision this evening, is that correct?
Yes, we certainly are. If I can get a motion on the floor to regarding petition number 929.
Any abutters, Bert, have to speak to this?
That's a good question. I did not even open that. Are there any abutters that would like to speak to this petition as far as the liquor store goes? Charlie, you'll have to help me out with this.
So either people can send me a note via the chat function, or they can raise their hand. You know, in the sense of not the physical hand, but the electronic hand, since a lot of people don't have their cameras on. So I'll look for anything.
Oh.
And I am not seeing any comments, and I'm not seeing any raised hands. So I would say go ahead. If I see something, I'll say something.
There's a question that just came up. I just lost it.
Something
this
about the
ZBA
green.
with Green Earth?
Gordon Andrews had a question.
So Green Earth Cannabis is the one, is proposing a facility on the other half of that property is, I think, what Gordon's pointing out, and whether the ZBA is aware of it.
That it is, but as far as occupancy of one of the sides, that's not before the board right now.
Correct. I think their intent will be eventually to come to the ZBA with a special permit, and if any variances are requested, well, it won't be the ZBA, it'll be the planning board actually, that they'll need the site plan and the special permit. They won't even be going to you all. But I guess Gordon wants to make sure you're aware that there's the potential for Green Earth inhabiting the other part of the structure.
Okay, but what's in front of us now, that's again, a different issue. All right, at this point then I will accept a motion regarding petition number 929 from any of the members of the board.
I'll make a motion to accept petition 929 as presented.
second,
And so I have a motion on the floor to accept petition. How about any conditions, gentlemen, or anything like that? Or are we good as it's being presented?
I'm good as presented.
There's one store.
No, it's as two, as it was explained. It's the liquor store on one side and storage on the other,
But
or
there's
storage section on the other.
there won't be two businesses on that premises, right? A
Not,
storage area for the liquor store or a storage area for something else?
no, let me clarify. What you have in front of you now is for the liquor store and storage area ancillary to the liquor store, not for any other storage area.
So there won't be another business coming in there
There
while,
could be in the future, but that's all very hypothetical at this point.
Have there been discussions about a business moving into that? Is that the eventual plan? Is there an intention to do that?
That's the Green Earth Cannabis project. I believe that Green Earth is interested in inhabiting the other half of the space at some point, but they have a lot of hurdles to still go through. They need to get a host community agreement for the board of selectmen. They'll need to get a provisional license from the state. Then the next step after that would be to go to the planning board for site plan and special permit.
What just the building, the structure, it's not for businesses or how many businesses allowed, or it's for the structure itself, the building is what we're voting on. That's what was advertised.
Correct. Correct. Okay, so do I have a motion to accept petition 929 as presented. Did I get a second on that, please?
second,
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor and a second to accept petition number 929 as presented. I'm going to call for a voice vote. Of those in favor, please signify by saying aye. The first one will be Kasai and Nazrella.
Yes.
Peter Parcellin.
Yes. Yes.
Bob Durgin,
Yes.
Jerry Joy,
Yes.
and myself, yes. Passes unanimous, 500. Mr. Gogarty, you can contact Alana or call the office and she'll walk you through the process of your special permit. But it's been approved.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I can leave now, right?
Yes, you can.
No, I'm new to this as well. If I had my daughters here, I'd be better able to handle this, but I think I'm getting the hang of it.
Well, that's the scary part.
Isn't it? And look at us. Look at the age of us.
Hey,
And
hey.
how much we've learned in the last couple of months about how to work a computer.
Okay.
All right,
seeing that
everybody.
it's,
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All right, seeing that it's late, we'll move right into petition number 927, the hearing of Matthew Groschedel from Outback Engineering regarding the property at 0 Walnut Street, a special permit for a horse corral continued. Let me read that one. The Halifax, but they're right in here, 927. Yes. The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, November 9th, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. via Zoom on the application by ADGA Realty LLC for a special permit to construct a horse barn located at 0 Walnut Street, Halifax, Mass. Said property is owned by ADGA Realty as shown on Assessors Map 98, Lot 1, title reference book 29865, page 225. The applicant is seeking a special permit to construct an approximately 2,964 square foot barn, 78 by 38, including a second floor according to the plan, on an existing parcel to stable horses for agricultural purposes, with a front yard setback of approximately 853 feet, side setbacks of approximately 439 feet, and 711 feet, and a rear yard setback of approximately 347 feet. This would be in violation of section 167(12)(f)(4) in the agricultural residential district, as it is greater than 884 square feet in accordance with the zoning bylaws of the town of Halifax. The area is zoned residential. Petition number 927. Okay, and who do we have speaking on this?
Well, it looks like Outback Engineering would be the one. I'm gonna get them unmuted.
Oh, okay.
That probably would be Matt. Got them unmuted, so he's ready, whoever it is. Matt?
Yes, Matt Groschedel with Outback Engineering.
Oh, Matt, boy, I really butchered your last name.
Oh, I'm used to it, so don't worry about it.
All right, Matt, I know we had a couple of questions from our last meeting. You were going to find out some information for us.
Yes, the board had some questions, mainly regarding the floor plan, which I did forward copies of the plans to the board. And then there are some specific questions that the board had regarding the number of horses that were in there, that were going to be in the barn. If you look at the floor plan, you can see there's going to be 6 corrals in there for up to 6 horses. One of the things about these horses is they're draft horses, so they're going to be a little bit larger than a standard horse. So that's why the corrals are a little bit bigger, I guess, than a normal stable. But there's stables in there, 6 of them. There's a couple of convenience areas in there, such as bathrooms, so that if there's somebody had to use the bathroom, they didn't have to walk all the way back up to the house, or if something were to happen, they could just use the bathroom there real quickly. Those bathrooms the applicant had approached the Board of Health about those already, and the Board of Health indicated they were fine with that. They've been tied in. They would be tied into the existing septic for the house that's already been approved. And then there was a question about manure from the barn. That will just be composted on site and used as fertilizer on the fields, typical of any agricultural purpose. And then I think the last question was something about the concrete, or the floors would be concrete, and the building would generally be unheated. Most of the warmth from the animals will keep the barn heated generally. And I believe, going through my notes, that should cover the specific questions that the board had. And if there's anything else that the board might need, I'd be happy to answer.
Matt, did you send forward a floor plan to Alana?
Yes, she should have gotten all that electronically, and she
Okay.
indicated that she had received all that stuff.
All right, and I know Mr. Nezrel on our previous meeting, he did ask specifically about the hay and the manure. It's to be stored, or is it going to be removed? You said it was going to be spread out over the crop.
Well, the manure will be, contained on site, composted, and then spread out in the fields, typical of any typical of an agricultural purpose. The hay, there's a hay loft on the second floor, which is the main purpose of that second floor, to store all the hay up there and out of the way. And then there's a small storage area up there to store like the bridles and saddles for the horses and anything else that might be needed.
Okay, another question, Matt, was in the minutes of the previous hearing, it was something about the door heights. None of them are going to be over 12 feet. Is that correct?
No,
they will not.
No, they are not, and that's shown on the elevations that they're not going to be.
And I know members also asked that there'd be no commercial use of the building, correct?
That's correct.
And the other one was on number 6 was a living quarters upstairs. Be just the bathrooms, just for convenience wise. There's no living quarters that are going to be.
No, there's no intent for somebody to be living there, and it's not.
Okay, all right. Those were anybody else have questions of Matt? I'm just going to leave it as Matt.
That's fine.
So Matt, you said the bathrooms are tied to the septic on the house?
Yeah, there's a large septic. That's I guess if you're looking at the plot plan, it could be to the north of this property. There is that the septic field for the house that's to the south of this property is placed to the north of this property.
And these are 2 separate lots, correct?
That's correct.
So Bert, didn't we have the same question on one of our previous petitions about a septic being on a separate lot or a different lot?
If it was a different lot, but same ownership, or is it 2 separate owners?
I think 2 separate lots.
You know what?
Question.
I don't know. You said the Board of Health approved on that?
That's the owner had approached the Board of Health about this already, and they had indicated that they had no issues with this tying that into that. And it was, and the original subdivision, or the original septic design had included adding this stuff onto that field, that design plan originally.
So is there an easement attached to the other lot with the septic?
There must be an easement in there. I believe this was all one piece at one time, and it was subdivided out. This larger agricultural part was subdivided out of the house parcel, which is to the south of this one.
Well,
Is that an issue with the septic in a multifamily? Or is that entirely, I can't remember exactly. I'm looking for it now.
There was a question on the 40B. The septic was on.
Yeah.
It was. So is this the same scenario or is it a different scenario?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the,
I think we asked that question, and as far as I know, it hasn't been answered yet.
correct.
I'm not sure. I see Mr. Diaz is on there. Maybe Alan can help us out on this one.
Yeah.
Charlie, can you unmute him, please?
Muting him.
Hi, Alan, how are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm not sure where this bond is going, but And I haven't seen, nothing has crossed the Board of Health, at least myself, in the last 5 or 6 years regarding connecting a barn into another septic system. Having said that, you know, if your board is okay with the plan, they would need to come back to the Board of Health and come up with something. If it's a separate building on a separate lot, it's definitely going to require its own septic system. Maybe the gentleman at Outback can shed some light on that, but like I said, to my knowledge, I've never heard that they were going to connect to anything there.
That, I don't remember that either, to be honest with you, as far as the previous hearing went. Matt,
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Who's this, please?
Dan.
Oh, yeah, Dan, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because that was gonna be kind of connected with that. My concern is now we have a shower on the second floor and a laundry on the first floor. You know, I think we're all kind of just concerned about the use of the building. And so with the 2 bath, well, actually what you have is a 3/4 bath. Some people call it a full bath with a shower, and a half a bath and a laundry. You know, it's more than just the convenience as far as I'm concerned.
Well, the way that was presented would be a convenience. You know, you can see from the plans, the house is a good portion away from where the barn is. And if, you know, somebody got their clothes dirty or they needed to wash something, they could do it in this building rather than trekking all the way back up to the house. That's the intent of it. It's not to create a new living quarters or you know, an apartment or anything like that. It's more of a convenience feature for the applicant, rather than trying to come back several times before the board. He wants to try to get everything settled away in one application, and he's trying to you know, anticipate any features that he would want in the barn. And if we have to go back to the planning or to the Board of Health to get this resolved, we would do that. But it was my understanding that he had already spoken with the planning board or with the Board of Health on this.
But as far as we know, Matt, there's nothing been signed off or anything like that from the Board of Health regarding this project then?
I haven't been involved in that, no, personally. That was just information relayed to me that had been discussed with the board already. But if we got to go and get a Board of Health, you know, approval for it, then we'd go and do that.
Alan,
But
bottom
if we
line,
can't get the special permit to do it, then, you know, there's no sense getting a Board of Health approval if we can't get a special permit. It's kind of one, you know, chicken or the egg situation.
well, Matt, you can't issue it. I personally wouldn't vote on a special permit unless specifically like there was a septic problem, a septic issue where, as Mr. Alan Diaz pointed out from the Board of Health, that each lot would have to have its own septic system. Then no, you can't tie into something else if it's a different lot under different ownership. I mean, how could we do that? Just issue the special permit and hope you take care of that. How are we going to do that? We're just creating another problem here.
I think we've had situations where people had easements, I think, but it's the same ownership, correct? Or is it different ownership?
I understand it's different ownership. That question was asked, and it's in the minutes.
That's right. Yep.
It was specifically asked if it was under the same ownership, and it is not. Is what, Matt, you told us the last time.
I mean, yeah, listed on the assessors, they're different under different ownership. One is the residential lot, and this lot is owned under the LLC.
So it's different ownership.
I guess so, yeah.
It is, yeah.
Well, I don't know how the other board members feel. I feel if it's an issue, it's going to require Board of Health approval. I personally can't see voting in favor of a project contingent upon Board of Health approval for a septic system that we don't even have a plan for right now, if I understand that correctly.
I believe there was a plan on, that was filed with the Board of Health a long time ago for this project. I don't have it personally with me. I would have to find it, try to find it and see if I could get a hold of it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Alan,
what's the address on this?
this is
Zero
0
Walnut.
Walnut Street.
Walnut.
Okay, that's that very large parcel of property at the corner of Summit and Walnut is,
Mhm.
That's correct.
Walnut.
okay. I know there is a lot of plans on that. There are plans that are very problematic. So I think I would agree with you, Mr. Chairman. He really needs to come to the Board of Health to see if he can get a septic in there. I believe I've been advised that that particular section, the septic systems were put on parcels that were quite a distance away in DEP, and the board did approve it, but DEP did send the board a letter that we approved it illegally if it's the same locus. So I would suggest that Outback come back to the board to see exactly where they're putting the septic, because they will need a fully compliant septic system. Where they have one bathroom or 12, they're gonna need a fully compliant 330 gallon per day septic system.
All right, I guess my next question is, Alana, how are we set for time on this? If we can continue this until, Matt can resolve the septic issue with the Board of Health, or do we need some kind of letter, of extension until this is somehow finalized? Is Alana unmuted? I can't even see her.
I'm sorry. Okay. It was filed on October 8th. So let me do some counting here.
All right, so here it is. What do we have for time on this then? Charlie, could you unmute Amy Kwesell, please?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Chapter 201 of the Acts of 2020 set the date for everything for December 1st. So even though this was filed in October, the 100 days, it's from the agenda, it appears that this is a special permit and a variance. So the only thing you really need to worry about is the variance, which is the 100 days. So you would have 100 days from December 1st. With regard to the special permit, as you know, you have, once you open the special permit, you can hear it. And then once you close it, you have 90 days to issue the decision. So obviously you haven't closed that yet. So you're still within the 90, you still have 90 days.
All right. Great.
And then the other thing that I did want to mention real quickly is that I did answer your the legal request that you guys had sent regarding the 40B, which relates to this application, which is that any septic system that's on property not owned by the applicant, including an easement, requires a variance from the local Board of Health.
Yikes. Okay. So Matt, you have your work cut out for you here.
Yeah. Okay. Let me I request a continuance, and hopefully I can get this stuff resolved.
All right. Do we need to vote on that, then vote on the continue and then a letter of request from Matt, if you could submit that to the board, or to give Alana a call, and she'll send a form out to you for a request to continue the hearing. And
Okay.
So I'll call for a voice vote regarding to continue petition number 927. First of all, I need a motion in order to continue it. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion to continue 927 till next month.
Correct. And do I have Kasai, did you make the motion?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor to continue the hearing for petition number 927. upon receipt of the request from the applicant, Matt. And I'll call for a voice vote. Those signified by saying aye, please. Keziah,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Bob Durgin.
I think we took himself off, which means I need to put him back on again.
All right.
Yes.
Was that a yes? Was that a
That's
yes?
yes.
Okay. And Jerry
Yes.
and Dan, how do you feel, please, about this one?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, and myself, yes. So it passes unanimous that we'll continue the hearing for petition number 927, at which time, Matt, you can process that information that's required. Alan, did you need to say something there? Diaz?
No, I didn't. I can't,
Oh, I
somehow
thought you
I
raised it.
lost, I pressed too many buttons. Yeah, no, I'm all set.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
All right, let's move quickly then on to petition number 928, which would be South Street. Is Mike Nezarella there? Is Mike on?
He is, he's at something else.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
He's listed, if he's on, he's listed as somebody else. He's not listed with his name.
Is it
If he can
Diane?
send a message or in the chat function, that would be helpful. And I'll unmute him.
All right. Well, all right. Okay, the Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, November 9th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom on the application by Michael Nezarella for a special permit and variance to build a garage located at 137 South Street, Halifax, Mass. Said property is owned by Michael Nezarella of 137 South Street, Halifax, Mass, as shown on Assessors Map 120, Lot 1B. Title reference book 07661, page 291. The applicant is seeking a special permit to construct a 30 by 30 garage, which would be in violation of section 16712 F4 in the AR district, as it is larger than the 884 square feet. The project would also be in violation of the setback requirements of section 16711, requiring a variance from the section 16712 F2, the rear setback from 40 feet to 25 feet, and 16712 F3, the left side setback from 30 feet to 15 in accordance with the zoning bylaws of the town of Halifax. Area is zoned residential, petition number 928. Okay, I know myself, Sunday, was it Sunday? Sunday we went out and did a site inspection. I met up with Mr. Joy, Mr. Durgin, and anybody have any comments? I know Mr. Keziah, you went by earlier also. I don't know if Peter or Bob, well, Bob was there, if you're familiar with the location.
Not yet.
Or Bob, what did you think as far as on the site inspection? He had it staked off on his out back on that 30 by 30 garage.
Did Keziah recuse himself?
I'm not sure. Keziah, did you?
What's that?
Did you recuse yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I did not make mention of that.
And
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I went by the property Sunday also.
Okay, so then voting on this one would be myself, Peter, Bob Durgin, Jerry Joy, Dan Bosari. And Keziah has recused himself. All right, yeah. All right, Bob, what were your thoughts on this then?
I'm glad I went. I'm just looking on the plans. It looks like there's plenty of area to actually move the building to conform, but actually seeing it in person, you really can't. The placement of the pool, you can't move it away from the setbacks. The pool's in the way. You move it over to the other corner of the property, it's wet. The land is graded that way, so you're always going to get the water runoff, so you can't put it there. So he's very limited where you can put this building. As far as a self-created hardship by his pool. I don't think he could have foreseen the future that he's going to be putting up a garage. So I don't think it's quite self-created. There's no other place you could put a pool anyways. Just the layout of the land, the topography, and the water runoff, and wet portions of the yard. He's limited in what he can do. So I think that the placement suits it.
What do you think of the size, Bob? Where it was 30 by 30? I know we discussed that when we were.
I don't think that's overly big. I think that's, within the normal size. It's not that big at all.
Mr. Nazralla did make mention that he was using the use of the property was going to be for the storage of the 6 antique tractors that he did have out on the front lawn there. I assume, Dan, that you saw them when you went by on the front lawn.
Yes, and the other thing is, as far as detrimental to the neighborhood, I mean, he's ordering the utilities, the high tension line, so I think it's fine.
Jerry, how about you?
I agree the same as Bob. We walked the site, we saw everything that was out there, and he's got it in the only position he can put it in. And I think everything is fine there. And even the size of the building is fine.
Peter, do you want to add in or jump in here?
No, I took a look at it as well, and I agree. I suspect, based on what he had said in our last meeting, and then kind of seeing it, it looks like that's his option. So makes more sense to me seeing it.
Mr. Nazralla, did we get and confirmed on the site inspection too that there would be electricity, there would be no water out to the building. The building itself would not be used for a commercial basis. And again, I agree with the others with as far as the rear setback and the setback with the high tension lines. I really don't see any other place you could really put it. I agree with the other members of the board. So at this point, are there any other questions or comments from any of the abutters? I'll open it up. If anyone has questions, just raise your hand or something that Charlie maybe see you.
Or send me a note via the chat function, please.
There's Kerry Butler, Charlie, that raised her hand.
Okay, I'm looking. Okay, well, she must have raised it physically. I was looking for electronic, but go ahead. I've unmuted her.
Hi.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself.
Could you state your name and address, please?
Carrie Butler, 132 South Street. I'm actually kind of diagonal from Michael. I think, just like you guys said, 30 by 30, I think my garage that's attached to my house is 28 by 30, not a separate building, and where he's abutting, the power lines and the way it sits, it's not like he's trying to put it in between 2 dwellings. I don't think any of the neighbors have an issue with it.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Okay, seeing that I don't see any other indication of anybody else that wants to speak on this. Charlie, do you see anybody raising their hands or anything?
Looking at my list here, I do not see any other raised hands on the electronic list of participants. I see no chat messages too.
Okay, seeing that there's no other further discussion, I'll accept a motion for petition number 928.
I'll make a motion to accept petition number 928 as stated.
Do I have a second?
Second. Can
We
we
have a motion.
add
I'm
a
sorry.
contingency, no commercial business?
Okay, that's fine. 30 by 30, no commercial use. All right. All right, seeing there's a motion on the floor in a second, I'll call for a voice vote. Peter Parcellin.
Yes. Yes.
Bob Durgin,
Yes.
Jerry Joy,
Yes.
Dan Bosari,
Yes.
and myself, yes. The petition passes unanimous. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on quickly to our last and final hearing on petition number 930, Scott Burgess. Let me read that into the record here. The Halifax Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Monday, December 14th, 2020 at 8:00 p.m. via Zoom on the application by 8 Hilda Lane Realty Trust, care of Scott Burgess, trustee for a special permit and variance for a multifamily development located at 8 Hilda Lane, Halifax, Mass, as stated by the application. Special permit for a multifamily development consisting of 21 single-family units in 5 buildings. The development shall be constructed in compliance with the bylaw, with the exception of the following 2 waivers requested. Number 1, 167-12A5 to allow a 53-foot front yard setback where a 75-foot front yard setback is required. And 2, section 167-12A5 to allow a 43-foot separation between buildings where a 100-foot building separation is required. Variances are requested from section 167-11, table of the dimensional and density regulations of the front setback from 75 feet to 53, and the setback between the buildings from 100 feet to 43 feet. Said property is owned by 8 Hilda Lane Realty Trust, care of Scott Burgess, trustee, as shown on Assessors Map 120, Lot 1T, Book 51353, page 177. The applicant seeks the special permit in accordance with the zoning bylaws of the town of Halifax under section 167-12A multifamily development, under density regulations for specific uses and variances under section 167-11 table of dimensional and density regulations. Area is zoned residential. Petition number 930. Okay, do we have Mr. Bracken? Do we have him there? I did not see him earlier.
The closest thing I had was Diane Burgess.
Oh, there he is. Don is there. Don Bracken's there. He's
under what name?
He's under Don Bracken.
Okay.
He's right under Alan Diaz.
Okay, thank you. Taking him off. Yep, he's got unmuted.
Okay, thank you very much.
How you doing, Mr. Bracken?
Good, how are you? Thank you very much. Don Bracken, I'm a professional civil engineer with Bracken Engineering. Also here with Scott Burgess, the owner of the property. Mr. Burgess brought the property back in July of 2019. Some of you may already be familiar with the property. The property consists of about 21 acres located off of Hilda Lane, which is a paper subdivision road. The subdivision was approved back in 2005. The road has not been built except for what looks like a common driveway to 2 houses that have their access from Hilda Lane at the moment. The intent is to build the subdivision road and to construct this multifamily development on 1 large lot. Under the zoning bylaw, as you know, you're allowed 1 unit per acre. So this proposal is for 21 units as read previously, broken up into 5 separate buildings. Is it okay if I share a screen? Can I share?
Well, Mr. Bracken, I know what this is, Chairman Robert Gaynor.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bracken, I'm concerned with the fact that right before us now, what you have petitioned in front of us is for the special permit and 2 variances. Now, I understand well, you did submit a letter or an email to the board that other variances are going to be required of the property.
That's correct. That's correct.
Now, the additional ones, if I understand correctly, have not been advertised at this point.
That is correct. Correct.
So it's the intention then of the as recommended to the board, to the zoning board, that I don't want to do this piecemeal, Mr. Bracken. I want to do it all or nothing. I don't want to separate it in and then later come down the road, have a couple more variances added, and then several other things that may be required down the road. It's not advertised together as in one project, and I want that. I think the board needs that specifically required. Do I understand that correctly, Amy? Is that I'm talking with our town council? Did I explain that correctly?
Correct. There are 4 variances required based on the updated variance request that we received, and only 2 were advertised. So it is up to the board whether to go forward or not, in my opinion.
And that's understandable. We actually, we had a first meeting with the planning board for site plan review. And that's when we realized we needed the additional variances after meeting with them. We realized that this project is likely going to take several meetings. We were hoping that tonight's meeting could sort of just be a preliminary overview to the board. And if they want to do a site walk, or if they have any initial comments about the plan, any likes or dislikes, so that when we do come back, if we can take those into consideration when re-advertising and having another hearing. I'm hoping that just under the special permit that we could at least go forward, explain the project and possibly get any feedback.
So, Mr. Chairman, one other thing too that I think is important to note is that it's my understanding, and I did watch the planning board meeting, it's my understanding that there's also a request to revise the approved subdivision, which was approved in 2005. And it looks to me that the request to amend or revise that subdivision has to do with some drainage alongside the roadway, et cetera. So right now, the only public or private roadway that you're looking at is the roadway that was approved in 2005. And that's not necessarily the case, because they are seeking an amendment to that roadway. So it might behoove the applicant to finish with the planning board on that modification of the subdivision. So they have an approved roadway that the planning board is comfortable with regard to drainage, et cetera. And then come back and then come to the zoning board, where they can say that they have 21 acres with frontage along a public or private way.
Has that not yet been determined, Mr. Bracken?
Yeah, just to give you a feel or scope for what our changes that we're requesting to just relocate a drainage basin, which is currently within the riverfront area. We're taking the same size basin and shifting it closer to the road in an area where there was a house lot previously, where we're not proposing building at all. So that's actually an improvement. We could still go forward and not move that basin and go back to the Conservation Commission for approval. So I don't see that as being too significant. I see it more as an improvement. Another request that we've made is to install the water line because when the subdivision was originally approved, water was not available at the road. And since then, water has been installed. So again, that modification just, again, is an improvement with no major changes to subdivision layout or road or any other utilities. And then the third modification we're asking for, because there were originally 4 lots and now there's only 1 lot, the subdivision plan was drawn with driveway entrances to each lot. We're just modifying it to remove those driveway entrances and only to show the 2 proposed entrances to this proposed project. So we'd rather, obviously, from a developer's standpoint, do things simultaneously, in order to get through what we know is going to be a long process. And we did withdraw our request because of some of the concerns from the planning board for the subdivision modification, and we plan on resubmitting it.
And Mr. Bracken, too, if I could clear that up too, I do know it was noted earlier too that when this application first came before the zoning board in December of 2019, you were never denied. There was never a vote on your application from December of 2019. It was the applicant that decided with questions in the interview process during the petition hearing that they withdrew their application. They were never denied by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is that correct?
I wasn't in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals previously.
It was Mr. Burgess, right?
Yeah, probably Mr. Burgess.
And they withdrew. They withdrew their application without prejudice. It wasn't a matter of a denial vote for the. It was for the duplex back in December of 2019. So they withdrew the application. There's never a denial from the
Oh,
zoning.
okay, all right. I actually don't know the details of that. I remember it was mentioned, but,
So modifications, Amy, if I could clarify that too, or you know, like I said, to make the hearing and to advertise for all of the variances as well as the special permit, just to make it clear and concise. As far as the site plan reviews, was there a question of time constraints or anything like that? Is it in regards to the site plan that they're going to be modifying?
Well, not necessarily the site plan, the subdivision.
The subdivision, I'm sorry.
The
you're right.
subdivision that they're
Subdivision.
modifying was, it was approved in 2005. I do have a bit of a concern with that because the fact that under the subdivision control, under the regulations, the planning board's regulations, a subdivision is only good for 2 years.
Right.
So again, you know, I think that that's definitely up to the planning board. I don't know, you know, how the planning board handles those kind of things, but that's why I think that, you know, getting an approval from the planning board as to the modification of the roadway is important in this instance, because we have a subdivision that's, you know, 15 years old that hasn't been built. And there are, you know, there's some changes, and there's some changes to drainage that, you know, while I understand the changes that they're being, you know, moved outside of the riverfront area, that's still within the planning board's purview under the subdivision rules and regulations and the subdivision control law for them to take a look at that drainage, and also for them to approve the water utilities, because again, that's within the roadway.
So, Mr. Bracken, I'm going to switch it back to you then. I'm going to ask then that we continue the hearing for the this petition until in fact it properly gets advertised correctly with all the variances that are necessary, instead of, for lack of a better term, doing it piecemeal, you know, some here, some there. And then again, as town council has recommended, that you appear before the planning board and have those issues regarding the modifications to the site before coming back to the zoning board of appeals. That's how I feel. I don't really actually see a need to go any further until those instances and those conditions are remedied.
all right, that's understood.
Okay, I don't know, does any other members of the board want to jump in on this? How do you feel, same or different, or?
If the variances change, do we need an entirely new application?
Alana's coming back on.
What's that, Charlie?
Alana wanted to get her microphone unmuted, so she's back on. She asked me to unmute.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman?
yes.
Yes, I just wanted to be unmuted to ask if you wanted me to pull the advertisement. I had just sent it to the paper today to be re-advertised for January, but I can hold off on that.
Why don't we hold off? I'll check with Mr. Bracken as soon as I go through the other members of the board here. We see what he wants to do as far as that goes. I'm sorry, Peter, what were you saying now?
If they're asking for stuff that hasn't been applied for, do they need an entirely new application? I guess is the question, or what needs to be changed in that process?
So I think the issue is that there's variances that haven't been advertised. So they did update, as far as I can tell from the website, they did update their application to include all 4 variances. So it's just really an issue of I think of advertising.
Okay.
As far as this petition goes, but also, well, Amy, is it beyond our purview then to ask them, to get the other issues with the planning board as far as the modification goes before they come back to us?
Well, right now, if they want to come before the zoning board of appeals under the multifamily, they have to come under the 2005 approved roadway, because that's the only approved roadway that's out there. So they either need to get their modification to that roadway approved, or the ZBA can only look at the 2005 approved roadway. So, you know, I think that it would just behoove the applicant to sort through those, you know, those modifications that, you know, they, as they explained tonight, you know, don't seem to be improvements as they have claimed. So, you know, perhaps that process won't take very long at all. And then they will have an approved subdivision roadway that will match the plans that are in front of you. Right now, they don't have an approved subdivision roadway that match the plans that are in front of you.
Okay, so Peter, I guess bottom line, I don't know if it would be a whole new application. I guess it would. Yes, it would. If it's going to be,
because I mean,
all
we're
four
looking at like plans here, and I'm from what I'm gathering, and we're looking at plans that include a roadway that has not been approved.
Correct.
Correct. That's exactly right.
The application is inaccurate, or it needs to catch up.
Yeah.
And it looks like the variances are in the new application, but it just doesn't seem complete. And I only ask these questions because I know that the neighborhood around here is very concerned about this project, and I think that they deserve everything to be very clear as we're voting on it, and that's why I bring it up.
Myself included, because even when they came back a year ago in December, I had questions that in regards to lot numbers, lot sizes, 118 foot of frontages. It was quite unclear, and that's why I asked for my own personal self, as well as the other members did agree that it was just too confusing. It wasn't clear. We had no accurate, concise plan in front of us that we could vote on. And then it was there, I believe it was in January 7th, I think Alana told me that they in fact withdrew the application. And this is when the new one came out. So like town council has just said, they have to work things out with the planning board in regards to the modifications that they need before they can even come to us. So it would behoove the applicant to get that done even before advertising for the other 4 variances plus the special permit with the zoning board of appeals. But it's certainly within their right to do that. Mr. Bracken, unless you feel differently, you know, we'll.
No, I mean, we definitely get the sense of the board. You know, it was our oversight that was brought up, so we realized that we were remiss in not asking for everything at once, and we apologize for that. We have no problem continuing this, you know, for a couple of months, and hopefully that'll give us enough time to go through the planning board process and get those changes, which we're pretty confident that we should be able to get because they're improvements.
Well, Mr. Bracken, would you like to withdraw your petition without prejudice from the zoning board of appeals? Until I can get, because you said a couple of months. You know, I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I would like to be able to discuss that with my client before I officially withdraw it. I don't know if it's possible. You know, if you're uncomfortable doing a couple of months, and if that's been the way the board operates, then we will withdraw it.
Amy, can we accept a continuance for 60 days that much?
So if you accept a continuance for 60 days, that's 60 days out of your 100. So I would not recommend that, because as Mr. Bracken said himself, he expects this to be, you know, a process, not just a one hearing kind of, you know, project. It's 21 units. So, you know, I think that if the applicant is not comfortable withdrawing, then the board has to continue it for 1 month. And in that process, the applicant has to either withdraw or completely re-advertise the whole thing. And then we're working on two different timelines. We have the special permit, which does not have the 100-day timeline. And then we have two variances that are on the 100-day timeline. And then we're going to have two other variances that are on a different timeline. I personally, I don't think that the board has to do that. I think the board denies the first project, which is a special permit with two variances. You deny that because they need 4 variances and they've only applied for 2. So you deny that project, and then, you know, essentially they back themselves into a corner. They have to wait 2 years before they can come back if they have a denied project. So, you know, if the applicant isn't willing to withdraw, then the board, I think, has to, you know, take a position in this. And I agree with Mr. Parcellin, you know, the advertisement, you know, the abutters deserve to know exactly what is going on. The advertisement should be, it should be complete. It wasn't, it's not. And so therefore, I don't think that the board should take 60 days out of their 100 days. And if the applicant's not willing to withdraw, then we continue it for a month, and in a month from now, the first project gets denied.
It gets denied, and then it's
Denied is incomplete, and then we're
and then
under
they wait
48
two-
section 16
and they
we're
can't
certainly,
reapply for another 2 years. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Dave?
if it's the same project.
I mean, we're certainly not willing, I'm not saying we're not willing to withdraw. It's just I didn't know if we could have more time to discuss it. And if
No,
we
and
were,
I think that's understandable. So
Yeah.
I mean, I would suggest a continuance for 1 month.
Oh.
And if they
um,
don't withdraw before the month,
Then we'll
well,
vote.
Ms. Kwesell, I don't want to waste everybody's time either. I think, I think we would withdraw given the confusion that we're already facing and what I'm hearing back from the Board of Appeals. You know, we know this isn't going to be an easy project, and I'm not trying to complicate it any more than it already is. So if we were going to ask to be continued, we could have also given an extension in time, but rather than even add that to the list of confusing items on this project, that we will officially request to withdraw without prejudice at this time.
All right, Mr. Bracken, then of course I will need that in writing if you could, and forward that off in an email, and we'll just.
So Mr. Chairman, the board has to vote to accept the withdrawal without prejudice.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Mr. Bracken. Let me go back to my members here. Gentlemen, the applicant has indicated that he was going to withdraw the application petition number. I have it here in front of me.
930.
Thank you. Petition number 930 without prejudice. So could I, in the form of a motion, have a motion from one of the members to accept the withdrawal of petition number 930?
I'll make a motion to accept the withdrawal with prejudice, without prejudice.
Without prejudice.
Yep. Petition number 930.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor and a second to accept the withdrawal of the application of petition number 930. I'm going to call for a voice vote. Kasai has recused himself. Robert?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And myself, yes. The vote's unanimous to accept the withdrawal of petition number 930. So we'll take it from there.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, Amy, thank you very much. I appreciate your time and your help there. At which time, if we do have another application down the road, we'll take it from there without prejudice.
Thank you. And I hope
Thanks.
everyone has a nice New Year's.
Thank you, you
Thanks,
too.
Best we can, right?
All righty. Bye-bye now. Just stay out of this deep snow.
Yeah.
All right.
Bert or Charlie, we have a question from Carrie Butler.
Gary, where are you?
I mean, the board's already voted.
Yeah, we're not having a a discussion on the petition itself, because there is no petition, Kerry, right now in front of us. It's been withdrawn. So there is really nothing to discuss, although I really do appreciate that the abutters and the neighbors and the people in the neighborhood do help us, you know, and give us their opinions and whatnot. Like Mr. Parcellin said, it's a big concern how, you know, what kind of project we're putting in this neighborhood. But
Yeah, I just wanted to say, can you hear me?
yes,
I just wanted to thank you because I did notice that there were only 2 things listed. I don't know how things work, and I was questioning why only 2 of the 4 were listed. So I appreciate, that's the thing. You know, we've been down this road before down here, almost the same scenario as far as unit wise. So I guess I just wanted to say, ending this, that the neighbors are all very concerned. We're under the, you know, we know that development is inevitable. However, there's reasonable development and then there's over the top development. We're kind of feeling like it's a little bit much. And the concern was, is initially he came in saying he was going to do an estate lot for himself. I had no problem with that. Now all of a sudden it's 21 units. So again, I appreciate you. We want everything that he's going to do. It's too confusing. People don't have time. We need everything all at once. And again, I just wanted to say I appreciate, you know, you noting that and requiring that, because, you know, going back to the meetings that were held last year and knowing what was said, you know, it's kind of like all over the place. Is it going to be his house? Is it going to be, you know, a couple buildings? I think the neighborhood understands, like I said, that development is inevitable. Maybe 4 houses. Yes, that's kind of fits what is necessary, you know, in this particular area. 21 units with the Hayward Street, it's going to be a mess. That street needs to be done and we can't afford to do that. So again,
okay.
I just bringing up
Thank
a couple concerns.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
All right, gentlemen, let's fly through the rest of our meeting here. How about minutes from 11/9/20? Need approval and singing. Anybody have a chance? I read over some of them. I didn't find any gross errors, but you know how we have to watch Alana all the time very closely. Any changes, admissions, deletions? If I'm not hearing any changes, I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes of 11/9/20.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of November 9th, 2020.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, on the floor is a motion to accept the minutes of 11/9/20. I'll go by a voice vote. All those in favor, Keziah?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Everything look good?
And myself, yes. Passes unanimous. Okay, how about the minutes for November 18th, 2020? I read them too quickly. They were quite lengthy and whatnot, but again, that Alana was right on top of things, I don't mind saying. I didn't see any corrections, deletions, or additions that were required. Anybody else find any? All right, seeing no other, I'm sorry? Oh,
Nope.
I'll accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of November 18th, 2020.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented from 11/18/2020. All those signify by saying aye on a roll call vote. Keziah?
Yes.
Jerry?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And myself, yes. Passes to accept the minutes of 11/18. I think we have bills from Halifax Express Ed for petition 930 for $84. Oh yeah, that Armory Engineers, they sent an invoice for petition 920 for $777. I would imagine that just gets processed and passed on. Alana, you'll have to take a look at that. I don't know that for sure. And then the subscription for the land court reporters renewal for $235. Okay, the only other thing we have is Wednesday, we have a special meeting for the Country Club Estates on the 40B project. And closed it. I think everybody got a copy of the 2021 meeting schedule. So other than that, something comes up, we'll take it from there. Anybody else have anything else they'd like to bring forward?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Didn't
sir.
we receive an email today that Country Club Estates, they were asking for a different date than December, the next available date after December 16th?
Yes, we did. We did get an email regarding that as a request, but we do have to meet on Wednesday and determine a date, vote on that date.
Okay, right, yep.
Then for a date determined to for the extension. So hopefully, says here in fine print at the bottom of the page, that Wednesday's meeting will be relatively quick when we establish another date.
Gotcha.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the bills.
Okay,
Right.
there's a motion on the floor to accept the bills as mentioned. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of paying the bills, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Good idea. Motion carries unanimous. We'll pay the bills this month. Charlie, we will pay the bills this month.
I'll leave the lights on, that'd be good.
All right. Our next regular scheduled meeting, other than the special meeting, but our regular set will be January 11th, 2021. And until then, gentlemen, thank you so very much. Appreciate your time and efforts, and onward we go. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. All those signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Charlie, thank you so very much. Appreciate it. Alana, Amy Kwesell, if you're still on there, thank you so very much. Appreciate your time, and we'll see you gentlemen later and ladies. Bye.